Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naram Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, text number 52. Etat andam visheshakyam krama vriddair toyadibi parivratam pradhanena avritairbahihi yatra loka vithanayam rupam bhagavato hare. Etat andam visheshakyam krama vriddair dashotaraihi toyadibi parivratam pradhanena vritairbahihi yatra loka vithanoyam rupam bhagavato hare. Etat andam visheshakyam krama vriddair dashotaraihi toyadibihi parivratam pradhanena vritairbahihi yatra loka vithanoyam rupam bhagavato hare.
Tatandam Visheshakyam
Etatandam visheshakyam
Kramavritte Dashottarai
Mavrittaidashottarai
Toyadi Parivratam
Yadibihi parivratam
Pradhanina
Pradhanina
Yatra Lokavitanoyam
Yatra loka vithanoyam
Bhagavato Hare
Bhagavato Hare.
Visheshakyam
Etatandam Visheshakyam
Pradhanidashottarai Yadibihi parivratam Pradhanina vritairbahihi Yatra loka
Lokavitanoyam Bhagavato Hare.
Anybody else? Word to word meanings. Etat, this. Andam, egg. Visheshakyam, called Vishesha. Krama, one after another. Vriddhaihi, increased. Dasha, 10 times. Uttaraihi, greater. Tavadibihi, by water and so on. Parivratam, enveloped. Pradhanena, by pradhana. Avritai, covered. Bahihi, on the outside. Yatra, where. Lokavithanaha,
Lokavitanaha.
extension of the planetary systems.
This is on the planetary systems.
Avam, this, I am this. Rupam,
Rupam,
form. Bhagavataha,
Bhagavata,
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Hare, of Lord Hari.
of Lord Hari.
Translation by Divine Grace of Prabhupada.
Right.
This universal egg, or the universe in the shape of an egg, is called manifestation of the material energy. Its layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahat Tattva increase in thickness one after another. Each layer is 10 times bigger than the previous one. And the final outside layer is covered by Pradhana. Within this egg is the universal form of Lord Hari, of whose body the 14 planetary systems are parts. Quote by Stephen Glacial Prabhupada. This universe, or the universal sky, which we can visualize with its innumerable planets, is shaped just like an egg. As egg is covered by a shell, the universe is also covered by the various layers. The first layer is water, the next is fire, then air, and then sky, and the ultimate holding crust is Pradhana. Within this egg-like universe is the universal form of the Lord as the Virata Purusha. All the different planetary situations are parts of his body. This is already explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. Planetary systems are considered to form different bodily parts of that universal form of the Lord. Persons who cannot directly engage in the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord are advised to think of and worship this universal form. The lower planetary systems, Pathala, is considered to be the soul of the Supreme Lord, and the earth is considered to be the belly of the Lord. Brahmaloka, or the highest planetary system where Brahma resides, is considered to be the head of the Lord. The Virat Purusha is considered as incarnation of the Lord. The original form of the Lord is Krishna, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Adi Purusha. The Virat Purusha is also Purusha, but is not Adi Purusha. Adi Purusha is Krishna. Ishvara Paramat Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha. The Bhagavad Gita Krishna is also accepted as Adi Purusha, the original. Krishna says, no one is greater than me. There are innumerable expansions of Lord, and all of them are Purushas or enjoyers. But neither the Virata Purusha nor the Purusha avatars, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu, nor any of the many other expansion is the original. In each universe, there are Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the Virat Purusha, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. The active manifestation of Virat Purusha is described here. Persons who are in the lower grade of understanding regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead may think of the universal form of Lord, for that is advised in Bhagavatam. Dimensions of the universe are estimated here. The outer covering is made up of layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahat Tattva. Sri Radha Gopijana Vallabh Bhagavan ki jai. And each layer is 10 times greater than one previous. Space within the hollow of the universe cannot be measured by any human scientist or anyone else. And beyond the hollow, there are 7 coverings, each one 10 times greater than one preceding it. The layer of water is 10 times greater than the diameter of the universe. And the layer of fire is 10 times greater than of water. Similarly, the layer of air is 10 times greater than that of the fire. These dimensions are all inconceivable to the tiny brain of human being. It is also stated that this description is only one egg-like universe. There are innumerable universes besides this one, and some of them are many, many times greater. It is considered, in fact, that this universe is the smallest Therefore, the predominating superintendent or Brahma has only 4 heads for management. In other universes, which are far greater than this one, Brahma has more heads. Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that all these Brahmas were called one day by Lord Krishna on the inquiry of the small Brahma, who after seeing all the larger Brahmas was thunderstruck. That is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. No one can measure the length and breadth of God by speculation or by false identification with God. These attempts are symptoms of lunacy. I hope that's it. Omagyanatimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kata Mahyam Tatati Swapadantikam Makam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravari Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sorry, I just changed my specs, not able to see properly. Things do not spell things correctly. All right. So here, as we can see in this particular chapter, is actually the second chapter where Lord Kapiladev is starting to instruct his mother, Devahuti. So the context is that so Kardama Muni and Devahuti, and they get a very Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of God, and Lord Kapila as their son. And as per the desire of his mother, Devahuti, Lord Kapila starts talking about different subject matter concerning the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam as such talks about many different topics. So as such a Purana itself talks about 5 topics. And Sarga, Visarga, then Vamsho, Manvantara, Anicha, and Purana Charitam. All those different topics are covered in any Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam goes to a greater extent in also delineating the devotional service to the Lord. So Sarga and Visarga is very much part of many Puranas, especially Satvika Puranas. And Sarga means primary creation, and Visarga means the secondary creation. The primary and secondary creation is very important to understand. Usually in Hinduism, so usually people say there are 3 different gods in charge of creation, maintenance, and destruction. We call it as Trinity or something like that. Always we have a general tendency in humans to have a reductionistic approach for everything. So so there is something, some new idea, some concepts, they want to make it as much as possible, fit into an already existing concept. So similarly, so this general approach by the Indologists in the West, so they have coined this Trinity in the Hinduism. They said there are 3 different gods, main gods, but there are many other gods as well. So here we are saying that actually, in actuality, the primary creation is completely affected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the secondary creation is mainly bringing forth the different living entities and giving them different bodies is actually carried out by Lord Brahma under the instruction and the inspiration of the Supreme Personality of God, or Krishna. So this is largely ignored or not talked about. So people have different ideas about who is God, who is Supreme Personality of God. But it is all clear here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the Purana Amalam, and it is the actual meaning of the entire Vedas, an actual purport of the Gayatri Mantra, the purport of the Mahabharata, so on and so forth. That is why great Veda Vyasa is writing that at the very end of all his work, completes all the Puranas, completes the Mahabharata, and then, by inspiration of his spiritual master, he writes Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Court. So you might have some judgments of the lower court, but when you come to the Supreme Court, it supersedes all the lower courts, the judgments of the lower courts. It's like that. The view held by the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate, and it is perfect. It's agreed by all the great acharyas as well. So here in this particular chapter, we see it talks about the Sarga, the primary creation of this the Brahmanda. And the primary creation, how it starts, starting from Mahavishnu at the time of Pralaya, all the different entities, so they all become merged then into the body of Mahavishnu. It's a time of Srishti, time of creation. So he brings forth all of them. And so that is delineated here to a great extent, a good degree, by Lord Kapila. So how he first creates the something called as Mahatattva. And how this Mahatattva is infused with these three modes of material nature. And these three modes of material nature, it acts upon this Mahatattva, and from that comes 24 different elements. The Tanmatras, the Gyanendriyas, the Karmendriyas, and the ego, the mind, and the intelligence, and all these different things is brought forth. And then time is the next one that is also created. The time is represented by the Supreme Lord himself. So under the influence of the gunas of the time, so the Mahatattva is divided into all these different smaller elements. And they all put together is called as Pradhana. Then we see how the different the elements, the Panchabhutas, they come into existence. So the first comes the Kham, or the sky. From sky comes the air. From air comes the fire. From fire comes the water. From water comes the earth component. And how each one is associated with one sense object, one sense. And sense objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, the 5 different sense objects, they also come into existence. So all these different things are the essential part of the creation. So that is brought forth, which is all called as primary creation. And this also, again, the Pradhana has to work slowly, different things. And then eventually the 14 planetary systems comes into existence. And this 14 planetary systems is covered by different avaranas, or the coverings, shells. The shells are 7-layered, and starting with the 5 Mahatattva's, the 5 Panchabhutas, and eventually finally covered by Pradhana. That is what we see here from this particular verse. So here, the great detail of creation is described here. So we need to understand how is this affected. Of course, from Srimad Bhagavatam and from the blessings of our previous acharyas, we understand the Supreme Lord Krishna is behind all these things. But if somebody were not to refer to this Srimad Bhagavatam, then they would come with different understandings of this creation process. So we have astikas and astikas. So astikas is those who have faith in a supreme person, or faith in something that is beyond, who is controlling things. And astikas are those who do not have faith in anything that is supreme, or anything that is can be equated to the word God. So we see from the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter also how Krishna describes that the demons and demoniac. 16th chapter, we see how Krishna says that the demoniac people, they don't have faith in a creator. They can see the creation, but they don't think there is a creator. And this was, I forgot it. Here it is. Asatyam apratishtamte jagat ahur anishwaram paraspara sambodham kimanyat kama haitukam. So this world is, some say it is asatya, some demoniac people say this is all illusion. And others definitely take this for real. They believe that this is real and this is something that is for my enjoyment. And in order to make their enjoyment easy, they want to take God out of the picture. If there is God, then there comes the encumbrances, the different rules and different the ethics and morality and so many different things has to be considered. So they want to keep God out of the picture. And since there is nothing to prove that there is existence of God in their from their sensory perception, so it becomes easy for them to kind of formulate this theory, at least for their own vested interests sometimes. Inside, they may have some fear of God or whatnot, fear of some unknown, but still, on the outset, sometimes they profess this Anishwaram, this atheistic idea of God, for their own vested interest, for political reasons or whatnot. So this is something that is very common in this world. And this Kali Yuga, this is getting more accelerated. So here, coming back to the topic here, Aparspara Sambodham. So it all happens by intermingling of different elements. There are primordial elements, they all got together and they all became, from that life came. Unicellular life came from that different other life forms, they all evolved. So they have different conceptions, they come with different philosophies. So this is, and some says that, so there are two things here. One is the chit and achit. Chit is the conscious self. Achit is that is not conscious. So when it comes to achit, how does it come about? It comes by aparaspara sambhutam. By chance, all this primordial soup and whatnot, they all combine different forms, leads to different elements, and these elements interact and they undergo different condensation and they become nuclear fusion comes to the picture, and energy is produced from that. All the gases become solidified. So they have a different theory of all the creation. When it comes to life, Kimanyat Kama Haituk. So it is all happening by chance plus desire. So that is the atheistic philosophy of creation and life. But whereas the theistic philosophy, if we consider, it also has kind of evolved in different ways. So starting with great Shankaracharya, who is incarnation of Lord Shiva. So he proposed how to reconcile this Chitana Chit. Because they think the world is there and they are interacting with the world. They are able to feel, touch, and able to get all the sensations. So how do I understand this? And so their big problem is, so if it is all manifestations of God, then God has become manifold. And that's a big problem for them. So God has become manifold. That means God is cleavable. God can be divided. So, and once God is divided, he loses his original existence. So this is called as Parinamavada. And because it's Parinamavada, then all the individual entities, including Chit and Achit, so they all have to originated from one entity. We call it Brahman. And once it has become delineated into the different manifold entities, then loses its original existence for Brahman. So that is not possible. So that is a big problem. So for that purpose, they also combine with what is called as Vivartavada. So Vivartavada means how this world is illusion. The world that we touch, that we can smell, that we can taste, and that we can experience with our senses. Because of this particular reason of it, how it can be incongruable. To take up this stand of this is Vivartavada, this is illusory. And once you come into this point of illusion, then that's the explanation for Achit. The whole of Achit, or that is that which does not have consciousness, or the entities, material entities, is all completely illusory. It looks like it is existing, but it is not existing. And in order to explain the Chit part, so they again it cannot be cleavable. So again, if each one of the living entity is a separated part of God,